Hi everyone, welcome to Business Spotlight, where I'm joined by Daniel Gillespie, who is a multiple business owner, but we're going to start talking about Apex Music International to start with. Is that a fair place to start, Daniel?
Yes, it's the most recent place to start, so it seems like a fair point to start there.
Okay, so tell us about Apex Music
Um,
International.
it's essentially a sort of holistic type company for the entertainment industry. So I was born out of the experiences of the last 20 years I've had working in music and events. As such, we probably started it myself, my brother, at the worst possible time, 6 months before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So we're obviously hugely relieved and proud that we're still here outside, come out the other end of that and still surviving. It's still a very sort of volatile industry at the moment, just in terms of the recovery. It's still not settled down, I would say, but we're very proud that we've managed to come through that and come out the other side. But essentially, Apex, we've got a lot of different sides to it. We have a music agency side with multiple agents that represent artists from obviously Scottish artists we represent. We've also got English artists, Irish artists, and we represent them not only in the UK but internationally as well. We have a whole events side to it for our work that mainly we do with Tyree Music Festival, but we used to have another festival, Open Live, and we've assisted other events that are starting up or looking to, improve specific aspects of their events and festivals as well. So almost on a consultation basis. And then the sort of other side of Apex is band management, and that's probably a big role myself and my brother have got at the moment with SKERRYVORE, which is the band that we co-formed with some friends 18 years ago now, believe it or not, and started a journey that we didn't expect would be our job and business as such, but that's the way it's proved to be.
And did I read somewhere that they got to the Scottish #1 or something recently?
Yeah, we managed to get a Scottish #1 in the official charts, 36 in the official charts, and just yesterday we were told we had the UK #1 in the folk charts as well for
Great.
them. So
What an accolade.
yeah, it's been great. So we'd essentially been an independently released band for the majority of our time, but during lockdown we managed to get a couple of tracks playlisted on Radio 2. And
Amazing.
that sort of brought our name to attention to a couple of record labels, and we decided to sign with Cook and Vinyl, which is the same label that the likes of Fratelli's, Proclaimers are all on. So it's our first time working with a label. We've managed to get a chart placing, which is nice, and nice to have another business and network pushing with us, and not just being on our own this time.
Yeah, well, congratulations. That sounds amazing.
Thank
So
you.
this is kind of an intriguing space, I think, for a lot of people. What are the interested to find out what are some of the things that go on behind band management and managing artists and the like. So can you lift the lid a little bit on what the day to day looks like?
Yeah, I mean the day-to-days, I think the most exciting thing about working in this industry is no day's the same. I would say that is just but particularly an international touring band, we're in the US, we're in Europe. That's become more challenging in recent times in terms of everyone sees the Instagram side of it that looks amazing. We're playing in these beautiful venues, we're traveling, meeting lots of people, but the bit behind is a lot of stuff to do with visas, carnets. Obviously, it's been a hugely turbulent side of the world in terms of travel and stuff, and Brexit's added into that factor as well. So myself and my brother deal a lot with that, as well as Peter, who works with us at Apex. He has the least favourite job of doing US visas, which is a huge process to be able to get granted, but he managed to get us a 3-year visa there in the US during COVID lockdown, which is just like an incredible achievement. So we know we can keep working in the US up until September next year,
Yeah.
and at least I deal a lot with booking flights, booking hire cars. My brother sort of specialises in the financial management side of things. So he deals with VAT returns, accounting, settlements with venues, settlements with promoters and stuff. So there's a huge amount of admin that goes on behind the scene. We're maybe with SKERRYVORE, I think last year we did 119 shows throughout the year. About 50% of that was in the US.
Wow.
So for every show, there's probably 20, 30 hours worth of administration behind that, you know, whether that's planning or accounting, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, you know, their job's to get there and perform, but you're in the back doing everything else pretty much. Is that fair?
And we perform with SKERRYVORE as well, so we're on the stage and do that.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's been in terms of we sort of self-managed since the start, and we have had spells of people coming in, and we have got agents that work for us, and we've got the likes of Peter that does administration support and things. But you know, we've always been quite hands-on and self-managed in that way. Even Craig, who's the fiddle player in the band, he designs all our artwork, does our website and stuff
Right.
like that as well, you know. So we have always been hands-on. But I think for myself and Martin, we'd already been asked to do a lot of work for other artists and support artists with elements of touring, and it just felt like a natural progression to set up Apex as essentially a face for that, you know, because before I didn't really have anything. They were coming and asking SKERRYVORE, and sometimes there could be a conflict of interest with that if it's a band that's in the same scene, or a band that's potentially you know, be looking at the same slots as that band. So, and it also gave us something that potentially we could grow outside of just SKERRYVORE as well, and that was a reason for starting Apex.
How do you manage that though? If you're in the band, what role do you play in the band?
I play accordion as my main
Accordion.
instrument. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that in a wee minute. But how do you manage you being in the band, you being touring, and managing other band schedules as part of Apex?
Don't sleep much.
Right.
No, to be honest, it's fine. It's just something we fine tuned as we go along. You know, in a way, it's great that I'm there, and I know firsthand the experience of all the band on the road and what makes them. It makes it easier for them to travel. You know, we've got a very sort of slick system now in terms of how the band calendar, the schedule works, how the schedule works day to day in terms of travel, load in, all the different elements of it. And by no means is it perfect yet, but it's something we've sort of fine-tuned. And then the great thing about that is I can take that experience and share it with other bands that we do support work with as well, share it with the agents that work with us and say, you know, this venue's particularly good, this venue has potential, this venue, you know, we're going to need to ask for X, Y, or Z to make it better for the next band coming in. So, as I said, it sort of came from the Apex thing, came from the experience of being out on the road, and it sort of supports that. So, it does mean a lot of work at times.
Yeah.
I've definitely, there's no doubt, the ideal scenario would be that you were only performing, you didn't need to worry about all that, but it's already a very competitive scene and market. So, if we need additional managers, additional tour managers, it's additional cost at the end of the day for the company. So
And so did this start? I'm piecing together. So you play accordion. I take it, was that something you learned growing up? So has this just been has it been a passion of yours that's grown into a business?
yeah, essentially, myself and brother Martin grew up in the island of Tiree, in the Western Isles,
Nice.
West of the Inner Hebrides. Very fortunate there that we had the opportunity to learn bagpipes, accordion, other musical instruments at the music club for free. An incredible sort of culture and history around music on the island, and to have that opportunity to learn was amazing. Probably didn't think early on that it would be a career. I was mad about football, still am, and that's what I pursued as a career when I left at first. And the SKERRYVORE thing came around. I was playing music more as a hobby or for some extra pennies in summers, and then we met Alec and Fraser. They came up from Livingston. They came up to Tiree on holiday and found out they played music as well. And they asked us if we would play a few gigs in Livingston for them, and then we played a few gigs in Tiree. And before we knew it, we were getting asked to play elsewhere, and it's just sort of snowballed from there. So there wasn't really a plan to form a band and make this a career. It just sort of snowballed from something that was a hobby that became a sort of part-time job around us all studying, and then became a full-time job.
Wow. And so tell me about some of the gigs you're doing now. How big are they? Give us a sense of scale.
Oh, it can vary. The biggest in Scotland last year anyway was we played the Hydro to about 7,000 people.
Wow. Amazing.
Which was an amazing experience. Probably the biggest crowd we've played to, I would say, is either Tuner Festival in Denmark. There was 25,000. at that, or one of the US ones, probably Dublin Irish Festival, was probably circa 25,000-30,000 as well. So
I can't imagine how it feels stepping out in front of that many people. How does it feel?
to be honest, I'm a lot more nervous when we're playing in front of 50 or 100 people and you can see the
Right?
light in their eyes. That scares me more than the big festivals. No, it's just something, as I said, we didn't just all of a sudden start playing in front of that. It's been a 18-year journey and progression, and we've had, played to 50 people in big empty venues before and had to deal with that. And I think it's an experience thing like anything else.
Yeah.
You learn to deal with it, and it's a good group of guys. Everyone gets on well, which you'll be aware there's loads of stories of bands falling out and everyone else, and thankfully we've had very little. Yes, you'll get days when people are annoying each other and stuff, but in general we have very, very few fallouts. And if there is a fallout, we generally it's very quickly solved over a beer and a laugh, So.
And it must be quite a buzz coming off set, when you're playing it with these festivals. What's it like coming off? What do you do then to just calm down and become normal again?
I think the thing is, and certainly Scott, who's the newest in the band, he was taken aback. He thought we'd be absolutely all charged going on and coming off, but we've sort of we're quite settled in that approach that we try and not get too high or not get too low. In the sense there's some gigs that you just come off and you're buzzing, and it can be particularly hard to sleep after it. If you're having to sleep to get up early or anything else, and you just come off stage. But I would say that's probably the same for anyone that's working in business, that if they've had a successful day or an extremely busy day, it can be hard to switch your mind off. And music's no different from that. There's obviously a great travel and socializing scene to what we do as well, particularly in the US. It'd be very easy. You could go out and enjoy yourself every night there in particular. And it's just getting the balance right, because the travel it can be heavy.
Yeah.
You do need to cover, I said we did 119 shows last year, but there was a lot of days that were travel days on top of that as well,
Yeah. And so you must spend quite a bit of time away from home then. Is that something that's, it must have changed? You've got family now, haven't you? So
yeah, I've got a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old, so it's certainly tough, but I think the way quite a few of the guys in the band have got kids, and the way we see it, we could be working as servicemen, we could be oil. I've got a lot of friends that work offshore in the rigs, and
yeah,
the one positive on it is, or two positives, I would say. One, we've sort of got control of our schedule to a fair extent, so we'll agree collectively as a group, we'll never work Christmas.
yeah,
We'll sort of try and agree on time frames to give to all our agents and representatives across the world about when would work best, so that we know we've got time off for holidays with families and stuff where we can. Doesn't always work that way, but
yeah.
in general we try to make it work that way. And I'd say the other positive is technology's been a huge advantage, from the point when we started to where we're at now. I can see my kids every day, no matter where I am in the world. It might be on a screen, but at least I can see them and speak to them.
And are you a cool dad then, Daniel? Would they class you as a cool dad because of what you do?
I would hope so. I think so. I don't
Can they
know.
ask them?
You ask them that, yeah. I need to ask them that. No, they're coming. We're playing in Glasgow on Saturday, and they're coming along to that. They don't get to see a lot of shows because a lot of it's international. They don't get to see a lot of shows, but they'll be at that, and they'll be at the Tidy Music Festival in the summer, which is a lot of the guys' families come up to that as well, which is nice.
That must be really nice to go back to where it all started with your kids, knowing that you've, enjoyed such a success with something you love doing.
Yeah, it's a special one. It can be a stressful one. I mean, running a music festival, an event is hard enough, but doing it on a remote island that's 4 hours by ferry from the mainland adds in a fair amount of challenges that are on. I think this will be our 12th edition of the festival, and it certainly seems to get more challenging rather than easier. Normally you would think something would get easier, but there's always something new that's a challenge. But it's nice that, one of the things about starting Tidy Music Festival was giving back to Tidy, and I was fortunate that music had become my career, and if I hadn't had the opportunity to play accordion and bagpipes on Tidy, I probably wouldn't be doing that, or I certainly wouldn't be doing that. So I think when I was going around these different towns, cities, villages, and seeing music festivals and the impact they had on bringing people to the community and the impact it gave to the business or the culture, or I was like, it'd be amazing if Tyree had something like this.
Yeah.
But when we started it, it was like 500 people in the car park at the local hall, and we're now at 2,000 people and 1,800 camping on site and stuff like that. So it's grown probably more than we thought it would, but it's been a hell of an experience, that's for sure.
Wow. And what's a career highlight for you then? Do you think what stands out to you looking back as something you were really, really proud of or chuffed about?
I think I always be proud of going back and doing Tyree because of that's my home island and the pathway from learning music to coming back there with my band and running a music festival and giving that a boost. That'll always stand out. The charts success recently was an amazing thing for the band collectively, no doubt about that. The idea of us being in the official chart and getting a number one was never something we thought about at the start, to be honest, but that certainly does stand out as well. But it's hard to quantify sometimes what you say a success could be. There's been loads of things that maybe we used to do a lot of work for live music now at first, and which was highly rewarding because you were going to maybe to young children or to people that were in disadvantaged areas and taking music and seeing the impact that would have on their lives was just as rewarding as well. So we've had a lot of different experiences, and it's hard to pick just one single moment. So that's what the high is. From a business perspective, I'll always go back to as well that we need to say a huge thanks to what was the Prince's Trust, a youth business trust, which I think is now Youth Business Scotland. I think is possible.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Now, but we were sort of advised by a local businessman to Argyll and Bute, said you should apply for this, and we're like, we can't apply to a business fund for a band, and he was like, what you're doing is a business. So we patched it together and put it in, and the grant that we got from the PSYBT allowed us to buy our first sound system and a contribution towards a van, and we got Young Entrepreneurs of the Year for Scotland.
Amazing.
Which was an amazing thing, and I think even for the trust, it was a cool thing to have a band winning this and sort of opened the eyes to people. Around the same time, it was Brewdog got funding and stuff as well. So it was an amazing insight to us of going, if we're going to do this for a career, we need to treat it as a business as well as a band and his music. Of course we want to have fun, but ultimately, if this is going to be our jobs and our career, we need to take it seriously and learn all aspects involved.
And how did you go about learning?
At first, trial and error, but I think we've also been fortunate, like the PSYBT, there's been other people that have been a great source of advice. I would always say to anyone is like, don't be scared to ask. Don't be scared to go and sit in on conferences or seminars. I was always big to go into anything like that if I had the time, I would go and sit in these things. And PSYBT, again, were great for that, of, bringing in speakers, bringing in people, because there would always be something that would be relevant. And through PSYBT as well, they gave me the opportunity to do a master's in business that was funded by William Grant and Sons. And at first, when I asked about it, I was like, what am I going to, why have they asked me to do this when it's a whiskey industry? But that was William and Grant's didn't want everyone on the course to be all from the whiskey industry, because it would almost get too focused on just that industry. So they asked 5 people that weren't working in the music industry to be part of this master's course at Strathclyde University. And that was great as well, because obviously learned loads from it, but it was reassuring because we were learning business practice that we'd figured out ourselves.
So you knew you were on the right track.
So that was a great experience, and certainly a highlight as well. It was tough doing the MBA around still running the businesses. It was a tough time, and my first child had just been born around that time as well, so I certainly didn't sleep much. But looking back on it, that was a real highlight, being involved with a lot of the people that were on that course, and what we learned from it was great.
Sounds good. So, what's been the bumps in the road then? What's been difficult, apart from obviously being away from your family? What would you say, is there a thing or something that happened that was hard for you?
I think there's always, and it's probably the same across business, there's always ups and downs, and it's trying to stay focused or committed to what it is you believe in right at the start, because if that goes, everything will follow. We've sort of got two main rules, particularly with the band, is that if we don't think it's going forward, we'll stop. If we're not enjoying it, we'll stop, because it'd be very hard to keep going at the intensity that we do in terms of the travel, the time away, the amount of times, you know, we commit to this if we didn't if we didn't enjoy it, or we felt we're going backwards. Maybe not going forwards all the time, but certainly if we thought it was going backwards, because there has been points where we've maybe hit a lull or a standstill, but then at that point it's about us being creative in our, both musically and as a business, to find solutions. And we've had moments like that and bounce back situations. You know, that could be a song, or that could be starting our own event like we did. We had Open Live for a couple of years, and it raised the profile and taught us a lot of things. So I think, you know, looking across all businesses, is you'll have challenging times, but as long as you sort of stay focused on what you believe in, and you believe that it's going to go forward and you're going to enjoy it, I would say that you'll always find a way, one way or another, if you're committed enough to doing that. I think if it's something you really don't enjoy, I would say to anyone, go and do something else. It'll break you over time, you know.
Yeah, no, good advice. And so moving forward then, what's the grand plan? Is there a vision for the next 5 years in terms of what you're going to do? Are you going to grow your business, continue with the band? What's the split going to look like? What do you
Yeah,
think?
all of the above. You know, the aim is to keep growing all of them. Ideally, with Apex, we'd like to have a bigger roster, more agents. We're trying to do that growth organically and not too big. We don't want to take more bands on that we can't service. You know, it's important that we find the right agents as well from the agency side. We probably capped out on the band management of SKERRYVORE to stay at the sort of 100 show a year. Myself and Martin's time, because we're on the road, is probably swallowed up by that. We're not ruling out doing another event again. We've obviously had Open Live before. There was going to be a show at Inverary Castle if it wasn't for COVID. That we sadly had to cancel it. So I think we would like to do another event at another festival at some point along the lines. It's just waiting for that right opportunity. And with the band side of things, it's just hopefully continual growth, you know, both from a music release side, a touring side, and just growing the reach and the fan base of it as well. So it's exciting times, as I said. As long as we feel there's a way going forward and we're enjoying it, we'll keep going on this ride. That's the plan anyway.
It certainly sounds like you're getting a fair bit of traction with what's happened just in the last few weeks even. You know, I know you've been going a long time, but it feels like it's building and getting even bigger. So, well, look, it's been fascinating talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure there's 101 other questions people have got, so you might get some queries for some folks on questions that I've not asked, Daniel. So
tell people to reach out on LinkedIn, or they'll find me on there, or even if it's specific stuff to do with the band, they can find us online and every platform.
You might be getting a few offers. We'll see. Right, thanks so much, Daniel. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Bye.